Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is BGFH, and we are back for another E3 video. I was going to wait and do the Sony, Ubisoft, and Nintendo things all together tomorrow, but holy balls, man. Ubisoft and Sony, they're just, as far as their events, they're just spitting out games left and right. So with whatever Nintendo even announces tomorrow, I might just have to do a shorter Nintendo and wrap-up video for that tomorrow or Wednesday. But we're just going to cover Ubisoft and Sony because, whew, man, it is, like I said, there is so many games. So let's dive right in. We are back in Wolfenstein. I figure, since I'm hooked on it, I figured we'll just jump in. I'll crank it on God mode. We're going to play some of the first episode here just so you guys have something to look at. So, first couple of games. So, these are not in order. These are just ones I kind of just got things off the top of my head. And then I also just kind of looked online just to be like, okay, let's look at a couple other ones I might have missed just for semi-thoroughness' sake. And so the first one, Mario plus Rabbids. We had heard a rumor about this game. It kind of got confirmed not too long ago. And boy, howdy, that game... I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a game type that I necessarily like to play. But, they actually invited Miyamoto on stage. And they did kind of a little demo and talk about the game. Which was really kind of interesting. So, this whole thing, it kind of just reminded me of this, weird fever dream, man. You had... Mario, the Rabbids had invaded or had come into the Mushroom Kingdom, threw everything out of whack, and you had, these Rabbids, there were different ones that, there were ones that were dressed in, Luigi or Peach suits. It was just really freaking bizarre. The gameplay itself was basically this, almost like a really colorful kind of XCOM, like a strategy kind of a thing. I'm not exactly sure how it plays, but that's, those types of, again, I mentioned XCOM in an earlier video, because I had mentioned that expansion, I think, of the PC show. I'm just not typically into those types of games, but, you have things like South Park for, the turn-based RPGs, and, if the franchise is interesting enough, I've played Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga on the Game Boy Advance, actually through the Game Boy Player, and I really enjoyed it just for the kind of the more action-based, interactive, turn-based combat, but then, for the characters and the humor, but this Mario and Rabbids, man, you just gotta watch it, because it's really weird. Mario has a gun, kind of, and I really gotta see more gameplay of that, because that's a Switch game that I am just genuinely curious what the hell. Kick you in the face, there we go. Then, I'm jumping around here, they ended, though, when I have to talk about this, Beyond Good and Evil 2, which I still don't know exactly what the hell this game is gonna be, per se. Beyond Good and Evil, for those unfamiliar, it was a game back on the original Xbox, and I think it was on the PS2 as well. And it was, at the time, it was kind of like a really cool Legend of Zelda type game, where you had your... it was like a 3D thing. You had Jade as this main character. You had all kinds of people that you would go with. I still remember, what was his... the heck was his name now? Paige. Paige the Pig. this like anthropomorphic pig, which you think would be kind of dumb, but he was a cool dude. I liked him. I liked him. He was cool. But like it was just this really cool like Legend of Zelda-esque kind of thing. They showed this conceptual video a few years later. I mean, like I said, this was like early 2000s. But it was this... Jade was doing this kind of parkour thing. It was a really neat looking thing, and then we didn't hear about it for a long time. Then they had a teaser video a couple years later where it was this... they showed Paige like sleeping on the side of the road in this desert place. I don't know what that was all about. But holy crap, man. Yeah. This one, it opened really strangely because you saw these pigs and other animals, like this crazy monkey, but like they were like cussing like crazy and F this and F fuck that and whatever, and it just was like a weird tone. I'm like, is this? No, wait, this isn't Beyond Good and Evil, is it? That's a totally different tone. But apparently it is, and it is Beyond Good and Evil 2, but it's actually a prequel where I guess Paige wasn't born yet or something, and so these are a bunch of other anthropomorphic characters. And we don't, like, even in the original game, I never really got the idea of where these different animals and different things came from. So I don't know. It's really kind of bizarre. But it was just kind of, there's some kind of cutscene stuff going on, and then God, what else? They said they didn't show any gameplay, so I have no idea. But supposedly it's like this open galaxy thing, like you can go alone or with friends, or you're going to be able to go to like different planets in a galaxy or something. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound anything like a kind of a Zelda-esque game. I have no clue. This is probably even... I don't remember them having a release date for it, but they called it the... What was it? The Space Monkey Beta, or Space Monkey Program, where you can go sign up to kind of join an early access beta when it comes out or whatever. I'm guessing you're not going to see this before... probably before late next year at the absolute earliest. This could be even a 2019 game. I don't know. But I'm intrigued. I mean, I would like to, I would have loved to have seen more with Jade, but again, I have no freaking clue what to think about it. But it was just, everyone keeps thinking every year, is it going to be Beyond Good and Evil? Is there going to be Beyond Good and Evil? And they finally did it. They finally showed it. It wasn't, there was no gameplay. It was, I don't know what the hell this game is going to be. But, yeah, supposedly it's out there. And let me look at my list here, because I actually had to make a list again, because, oh boy, there's so much stuff. Assassin's Creed Origins, they talked a little bit more about that. Not a whole lot. Not going to talk about that because I did already. The Crew 2, The Crew was this kind of open world driving game across the U.S. This one, they're making it all kinds of crazier. I never played the original Crew, so I don't really have any, I can't speak one way or another to the franchise. I've heard some people say, like, it was a neat idea, but the driving wasn't the driving itself wasn't all that great. That I can't really speak to, but the Crew 2, they're really expanding it. So you're basically trying to get from one side of the U.S. to the other, and you have, like, now it's not just cars. You have cars and motorcycles and off-road, and then you have boats, and you have, what else do you have? Airplanes, I guess. It's just crazy. So, I don't know. That might be kind of interesting, depending on how they do it. I don't know if it's like an open world, you can choose how you want to go. Like, do you want to primarily go by car? Or is it in certain legs of the trip where, oh, you have to be on boat for this part, or then you do that successfully, then you got to go by plane, or can you choose? I don't know. Let's see, the crew 2, South Park, The Fractured Butthole. The Fractured Butthole. They showed another trailer for it. It looks good. It looks interesting. I'm definitely going to play it. Because despite not really being into role-playing games, like especially, turn-based, like I've said many times, I did a let's play of it on my channel, for God's sake. So I love the first one. The second one, though, like, I'm not in love with the theme of it near as much. Like, the first one is the whole, like, Lord of the Rings kind of, wizards and whatnot. But, like, this other one is more like superhero stuff with the coon and all that. I never cared for those that much. I did see a little bit of gameplay before the Sony conference that was kind of amusing, where they had there was a Scott Melkinson, that that little nerdy little kid, Captain Diabetes. They showed him as his superhero as Captain Diabetes, and they went to this strip club as one of the night missions, and you actually had to give somebody a lap dance, which was freaking hilarious. But it was like, oh yeah, lap dance, except you're just farting on him. Again, you have the power of your ass. So, yeah, South Park. I'm definitely going to be looking at that later this year. Let's see. South Park. Then they had this weird, I didn't even know what it was called because it was hard to read. But they did this like teaser thing for this VR like weird mind game where like they recreated someone in your mind or something, and it was just this really trippy. I don't know, but it looked kind of cool. I want to see where they're going with that. I wish I could tell you the name, but like I said, the font was such in a bad way that I really couldn't read it. So that's going to be interesting. I hope that comes to the Rift. Skull and Bones. Now remember, I already talked about a pirate game. It's kind of weird how there just seems to be a trend. Like, oh, first it's military shooters, and now now everyone's going back to World War II, and then now we have a couple of pirate games. We've got the Microsoft one that I forget the name of. I can't even remember the damn name of it now. Sea of Thieves. But this Skull and Bones, this one I'm not really that interested in. They took basically the Assassin's Creed engine, which is fine. They made, one of the Assassin's Creed games was, kind of sea-based, which was cool. But this is primarily going to be about, like, ship battles. So, I don't think you're really going to be getting off land or anything on land, like anything like that. It's primarily ship battles, and you control your own ship, that kind of a thing. I mean, it looks, graphically it looks fine, but I just not really interested. Not super interested in that all that much. But Skull and Bones, if you're into, being a pirate and doing a lot of ship stuff, you can do that. Oh yeah, then there's, again, I couldn't read the titles on it fast enough, and they really didn't say. Seems like there's a South Park mobile game coming out where they're going to be playing, again, a different kind of a style. Now they got cowboys and Indians. The problem that I have, anytime I hear a mobile game, what's the first thing you think of is, okay, how are they going to whore it out for monetization? How bad is it going to be for microtransactions? It's sad that you have to think that way, but take any franchise. There's been Simpsons, there's been, Family Guy, there's been Marvel, there's been, like, all kinds of mobile stuff. And they just shit all over it with these microtransactions. Like, well, you have kind of a okay core gameplay here, but you ruin it because either you can't buy, you can't unlock things without waiting 17 days to do it, or you got to keep paying and paying and paying, or you're only allowed to play until you lose 3 lives, and then you got to wait before, like you're going to dictate to me, you can only play 2-3 lives, and then you have to pay if you want to, or else wait before you're allowed to play again. There's just so many of these gameplay or monetization aspects of mobile that just really kind of piss me off, because, like I said, cosmetics and things that don't really affect the game but you want to personalize, fine, I'm okay with that. But like, anytime it has something to do with like, you're prohibiting me from enjoying the game, like I literally cannot play the content that you've built because you're putting all these arbitrary, essentially bullshit things in there, time things, or limited number of lives and you got to buy, and I can't just, unlock again, I use like Pac-Man 256 where you buy like an unlimited play option, say, yeah, okay, I still will have to grind to earn all the power-ups and stuff, which is fine, but I get to play the game as much or as little as I want. Or making, Real Racing 3, taking things that are so expensive, these cars and upgrades and stuff that are so expensive that you can't do it without grinding and grinding and grinding and, paying a buttload of money just to be able to do that. So that's why, I'd still like to be playing that game, because they keep adding, they're great about it, adding content to the Real Racing, but I've gotten to the point where it's so prohibitively expensive to buy any car that I'm just like, screw it. These events, you have to have certain things, and I can't do it. Anyway, I got off track there. I had to rant about the South Park mobile game. Not that I know it's going to do that, but I just have this, oh shit, good thing I have God mode on. But, good, but I really, that's the first thing I think of when I think of mobile. It's so obnoxious. Starlink Battle for Atlas. This is a Switch game of some sort. I'm not entirely sure what the gameplay mechanics are going to be like, but again, it's like some other space thing. You actually have these little, like, physical, like, toys to life things that, like, hook onto your Joy-Cons or something. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but that's a little ways off. But I don't know. I don't know that I'll play it, because the only real toys to life thing that I'm really interested in, and I can't make myself do it because that franchise is just expensive to begin with, is the Lego Dimensions. The Lego Dimensions games, like, if I was going to get any of these toys to life things, it would be that one, because, you look at the franchises that they do, they're made, yeah, okay, you say Lego is for kids, but, like, they made those franchises and kits, like, for Lego Dimensions. It is 80s nerd nostalgia heaven. It's just so good. I really would love to play that. But yeah, that's that Starlink or whatever. Another Switch game. So we got a couple of mentions at least for Switch. Let me kill this guy here real quick, and then I'll pause again and see what else we got here. There's so many games. I know I'm spending a long time, but this is going to be a long video, but there's just so many. There's an Olympic add-on coming in December for Steep, which is this winter games, kind of snowboarding, skiing kind of game, which it looks okay. More simulation, I think, than arcade. I'm really interested in something like an SSX or something. So you got Steep. Far Cry 5. Now, this I'm potentially interested in. There's some things about Far Cry in general that I'm really torn on, because I have Far Cry 3. I didn't get Far Cry 4 because I just couldn't play 3 well enough. I love the idea behind them. You're in like an open world kind of a thing, And you can just kind of go through, you do these missions, or you can just kind of go and hunt things. You can, you know, explore, take over territories, you know, climb these towers to figure out where you are on the map and everything. The problem that I have, though, is, like I said, the games are getting so detailed that it's becoming harder to actually see where guys... Like, in Wolfenstein here, like, the contrast is good. Like, I can tell where the guys are because you know, things don't blend in super well. But, like, when you have guys in foliage and, you know, you got a super detailed village or town or forest or what have you, it's really difficult to see. And in those games, you can't take that many hits, you know? So by the time I figure out where a guy is coming from, if I determine where a guy is coming from, I'm dead. But this Far Cry 5, I really want to give it a shot, because this one, you know, all of them have been in, like, you know, jungles or, like, in different, like, overseas areas, which are cool. But this one is going to take place in this rural Montana county, this fictitious Montana county, where basically this religious zealot cult thing takes over, and, you know, there's no cell coverage, there's no communication. This father guy thinks the world is going to end, so he's basically, like, you know, trying to convert this town and, like, by force, and you're trying to be this start up this resistance stuff. And it looks really kind of neat. I'm intrigued by the whole story concept, and, you know, again, obviously I'm more familiar with America than I am a jungle, and I like, you know, looking through, like, small towns and stuff like that. That looks kind of a cool thing. So, you know, I'm hoping... I gotta remember, I don't remember if there's, like, different difficulties on those games or some way. That would be a game where I would love a cheat code. If nothing, for, like, a God mode or something where, you know, it would still allow me to enjoy the game. I mean, I would definitely try to play it without it, but, you know, it's just... I foresee myself visually having some trouble with that game. So that pretty much wraps up Ubisoft. And now we get into Sony. Now, both with Ubisoft, but especially Sony, I've talked about this before, but the problem that I have with, especially with Sony, there's actually two real problems that I had with Sony's presentation this year. One problem that I had was that whoever edited the way they shot the thing, they would show you the screen, it would be full screen, but then it would cut away pretty frequently, and it would show reaction shots of a crowd, the crowd in the theater. It would cut across to, like, a wide angle shot of the screen, so it'd be like this diagonal view of what was on the screen, and I kind of hate that, because they often did that at the end of a trailer where you were trying to read a title or read a release date, and a lot of times I wasn't able to do that because it was edited so poorly. Don't, you know, leave it full screen. I don't care about the crowd. Like, oh yeah, okay, you want to get a crowd shot, that's fine, but that was one problem. But the other problem that I had, you know, I will commend them for, you know, giving a lot of, I mean, they covered a lot of games that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But again, they did it really fast, which is cool, but it was trailer after trailer, and most of these trailers were not gameplay. They were story cinematic trailers. This is a video game conference. This is not a series of movie trailers before your movie. This is, you know, this is a games thing. So a lot of these games, I don't know exactly what they play like, or I just don't really have a good idea of even what they are, kind of just because they, you know, they don't show a lot of gameplay. So let's see, what do we have now that I'm done griping? Knack 2, they showed a little trailer for that. Not too much to say about it. Knack 1 was, it looked kind of neat, but it was kind of like a third-person kind of character action game. Shadow of the Colossus, that was kind of an oddball one. Like, it's a highly revered game, Ico and Shadow of Colossus, on the PS2. They released a collection for PS3, which I do own. Haven't fully played either of them yet. I started them, but I never really got that far into them. People say they're really great, but it seems like they're just remaking the original Shadow of Colossus again. It looks good, but they're just remaking again, so it's another remake. So we've got that. Let's see what else we got here. Horizon Zero Dawn Frozen Wilds. So it's kind of an expansion or a standalone thing. I'm not entirely sure. But that is a game, if I owned a PS4, I would like to play Horizon Zero Dawn. That looked actually, this third-person action game where you kind of primarily fight with like a bow and arrow, or you have some melee stuff and you use traps and things. It looked pretty cool. Yes, the next couple of games. So these are the couple that I immediately thought of when I was writing things down of the Sony. So God of War, the original God of War series of I don't know how many games there are, quite a few. It was just this brutal game, almost overly so in some cases. But last year they showed, more of an extended gameplay cut of this God of War reboot, I suppose. And again, this year they didn't show an extended gameplay demo. It was just a trailer intercut with a little bit of theoretical gameplay snippets in there. Oh crap. I'm out of ammo for that. Okay. But that game looks really interesting. What I like about this version of God of War, a couple things I thought were really interesting. It's about him, and he has a son. He's like, oh, you got to be a man. He's like, you can't be scared and you can't fear, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And there's this other lady, not sure who she is, but he's like, no, you have a son. You got to be a father to him or whatever. So there's some story stuff that I'm interested in. But the other thing about this God of War title that I'm interested in is because the problem that I had with the other God of War games is they did this third-person cinematic kind of a thing where, depending on where you were or the context of what you were doing, you had this problem of they would do these really wide-angle shots or they would zoom way out, and it was really tough visually to see. This one seems to be more straight behind the back, third-person kind of a thing, like your typical third-person action game. So that, to me, just seems a lot more playable as far as, for low vision. Walk right into the barrels. Not that I care with God mode, but whatever. That looked cool. God of War, that's early next year, but that looks kind of neat. Now, again, I'm jumping around, but they ended with, because I have to talk about it, they ended with this exclusive Marvel Spider-Man, because, of course, Sony owns that kind of, the whole movie spiel, and I don't know what the licensing is, but they own a lot of this Spider-Man stuff. So I have really mixed feelings on this. On one hand, it looks incredible. It looks fantastic. Graphically, it looks, like I said, just amazing. The presentation, the camera stuff, it looks really, really cool. The swinging, that was one where they actually did an extended gameplay kind of like a gameplay mission sort of a thing. And that was cool. Where he was swinging around and everything. I love that. Here's the problem. A lot of that mission was heavily QuickTime scripted. So you would have there were just all kinds of stuff where the camera would swoop around. You'd have to do like a quick time event. And it was just, really kind of frustrating. I don't enjoy quick time events. I've made my opinion well known about them as well. I have no idea where I'm supposed to go. I've been babbling and now I'm... So, okay, there's where I got a key. Okay, I think it's got to be somewhere in here I just overlooked. Okay. But anyway, I don't know how much that's going to be a full part of the game. I'm assuming it's an open world kind of a deal because that's just what everything is nowadays. But, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you'll have probably like main missions and story missions and side missions, that kind of a thing. Probably you'll probably have more scripted stuff in your story missions. That's where a lot of your quick time events will come into play. But that's only PlayStation. As far as I know, I don't know if they're going to, it's console exclusive, but are they going to allow, are they going to do PC? Because the one thing that I like for some of this stuff is like, you can get away with console exclusivity, but you can still come out on PC. So I don't know if they're going to do that or not. But, wait, why do I have a feeling this is where I'm... Okay. Anyway, let's take a look at the next couple of games here. So we got Spider-Man, God of War, Detroit, Become Human. This is... It looks really... The story looks really interesting. I'm intrigued. The art style looks cool. The story looks really interesting. Oh shit, no, that's the beginning. Oi! How did I screw that up? Okay. Anyway, Detroit, it's made by this... I think that was the one where it's made by the guy that made Indigo Prophecy and... Oh, what was the other game that he had on PS3? Not Heavenly Sword. I have it. I played it. I'm not very good at it. Heavy Rain. Those games, again, these are really heavily like story-based, but they do a lot of quick-timey sort of events. They're trying to mimic like, your actions of what you would do in a game. So they try to tie it to like what action the character is performing. But this Detroit thing, there's like these androids or whatever. They're kind of revolting against the humans because they feel like they're not being treated well or something. And the guy's like, oh, the only thing humans understand is violence. So they're trying to rebel, and I don't know the whole gist of what's going on. But it looks interesting. Next one is... Days Gone. They showed this one again. Well, they showed a little bit of gameplay, but this one they showed a little bit more of last year. Days Gone is this seemingly open-world zombie game again. But you're this biker guy who I don't know what his spiel is, but it seems like it's a really violent, bloody game. Compare that to Xbox, maybe that would be like your, what would you call it? I talked about it earlier. The zombie game that I talked about earlier, whatever it was. I've looked at so many games over the last 2 days that, you'll forgive me if I just can't think of every single game. It's amazing that I actually remembered half of what I do. But it looked okay. I don't really get any vibe of what the story is or how the infected came to be or what's this guy's role. He doesn't seem like a super likable character right off the top of my head. But I don't know. We'll see. Let's see, what else do we got? I think we're kind of getting toward the end here, but Days Gone. Crash Trilogy, that's just again a remake of the original Crash Bandicoot games, which I was never really into. I played the first one or two a little bit at a friend's place. They were interesting, but I just never really got into those types of platformers, character platformer game. Marvel vs. Capcom. Again, this is one they did a really crappy job of showing. It sounds like, everyone's trying to make an expanded story mode. Ever since basically NetherRealms showed everybody how it's done with Mortal Kombat 9 and Justice and everything like that, everyone else is actually trying to do better with making story modes for fighting games. So, what did they show? They showed a lot of cinematics. They didn't show any gameplay whatsoever. So, I'm assuming it's still a 2D fighter. I'm assuming, I don't know, it's something. But, literally to show no gameplay of a fighting game, that just seems kind of stupid. And, I remember like Marvel vs. Capcom and stuff around the Dreamcast era. They were neat games, but I never got into them because they were just so flashy and like super fast. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I think you had even then you had it was 2-on-2, so you had these like character tag team kind of a things, and it was just, I know everyone loved that series, but I just never got into it because I was just, again, terrible. I prefer one-on-one, and there's some stuff that's just, it's so flashy that it was just kind of hard to play. So, like I said, I'm assuming this is a 2D thing. I don't know, but like I said, they didn't show any gameplay whatsoever. And they really got to quit doing that. Show gameplay, not cinematic trailers. It's a game, people. Skyrim VR, that came out of nowhere. So apparently that's a PlayStation VR thing. If it does come to PC, I would highly assume that it's probably only going to come to Vive if it does, because I already talked about Fallout 4 in VR, with the Fallout that, when John Carmack went to Oculus and he got into some stuff with ZeniMax, Bethesda's parent company, things did not go well with that. So, if it does come to PC, again, I don't know that Oculus is officially going to get a bone in that regard. Skyrim would be kind of cool to play, like especially more melee, especially if you could use Oculus Touch. That'd be kind of badass. I would enjoy that. And I am, like I said, I'm not paying any attention. I am so freaking lost right now. I stumbled into the room that I thought I was supposed to be in, and I'm still looking for the exit. I'm still looking for a locked door, and I still don't think I found the correct one. I have no idea. But I think we're getting close to the end, so it might not matter. Skyrim VR. Bravo team, they just showed a very brief snippet. There was intercut gameplay, it looked like, and some cinematic stuff. Some kind of it looked like it was a first-person shooter of some sort. That's all I really know. Call of Duty World War II. We knew that was coming. That was a known entity. We knew that it was coming to be a World War II game. They're getting rid of the modern stuff again, going back. Yeah, I mean, it's Call of Duty. I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine for some people, but I really didn't care for it. I mean, it looked fine. The graphics looked great. I just really could care less about the game itself, if I'm honest. But again, I don't even think they really showed much, if any, gameplay, really. I think it was just mainly cinematics again. Star Child, that looked like some kind of a 2D, really beautiful looking game, but I don't know what was really going on there. Some kind of like a 2D platformer or action thing or something. I'm not sure. Uncharted, Lost Legacy, I think that was shown last year. and they're showing it again this year. They just showed a trailer, so there's nothing too much to say about that. Destiny 2, they just showed another trailer for that. Some big guy, some big bad guy that I have no idea. I have no context as to what's going on because I never played Destiny 1. So, I mean, it looked cool. I mean, you know, there was little snippets of gameplay and the weapons look cool, but if it's more solo friendly, I might check out Destiny 2, but beyond that, I don't know. So that's about all I can speak to Destiny. No Last of Us from what I saw, because I missed like the first 2 minutes because a friend of mine called me. So unless they started with that, no Last of Us 2. So they teased it last year, but maybe because they had so many other games coming out this year, they really didn't show anything. I was really dying to see what Joel and Ellie would be up to this time, but we really didn't get to see any of that, so I'm not sure. Monster Hunter World. You know, the Monster Hunter has been huge on like earlier PlayStation consoles, and then it went over to the DS and Vita and that kind of a thing. I tried, I think it was like the Wii version. I think I rented it or something at one time. I love the idea behind it, but I just don't know. It really takes a long time to really get into. You really got to learn the mechanics, and it's more of a deliberate game. You know, you can't button mash your way through this one. You know, you're gonna. Oh, hey, buddy. You know, you're gonna have to be more deliberate with your combat, and then you know you focus on teaming up with your friends to take down these giant beasts. Aha! Haha, before I end this video, I will find the end of this level, dang it. And I found the locked door, so we made progress. Woohoo! But yeah, Monster Hunter World for PS4. They didn't mention the Vita at all, by the way. I mean, the Vita is essentially dead. You know, you might get some indie games on it. You might get a couple little minor things thrown your way every now and again, but largely, nah, it's dead. I don't think they mentioned it once. So, but yeah, Monster Hunter. And I might have missed one or two games, but those are the primary titles, I think, that were shown at the conference. You know, again, the main problem that I had, I mean, I appreciate the fact that they went game, 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 and it was just this constant barrage, which was excellent. But all this cinematic trailers, like, I would rather concentrate on a couple less games and do live. I like where they do live gameplay demos of like, you know, oh, this is what we're doing. This is, you know, here's the background, here's a setup while somebody plays, and you get to see kind of an extended, even if it is highly scripted or, you know, highly like, you know, just a really polished vertical slice of a game. I'm fine with that. I just want to know what the hell the game plays like. Like I said, in a couple of conferences today, like there were literally games that I have no idea. Well, Beyond Good and Evil, I'm very, very interested in that game. Problem is, I have no freaking idea what it's like. There's a bunch of very foul-mouthed critters, and they are doing stuff, and I don't know. I have no idea what that game is going to play like. But again, that was a really big problem for Sony. Like, a lot of their stuff was that way. So, in a way, I'm kind of like, they did a good quantity, but the quality just wasn't there as far as understanding what some of these games were. And I think they could do a better job in that department. What? Why can't I open that door? Really? That's not a locked door. Okay. That's really frickin' weird. A regular door that's locked. I've never seen that bug before. What? Don't tell me I got a weird glitch. That's... Did I hit a key? I just want to find an... Okay. No, I don't know. There's just a couple of those doors that just wouldn't open. I've never seen that bug, and I've played through this before. So that's a really freaking... Sorry for the interruption, but that was just a really bizarre encounter that I had there. I couldn't read what it said. That was really small text in the middle, but that was really bizarre, man. Holy crap, there's guys everywhere. But I think that's really going to wrap it up. I actually... Unfortunately, I got to go back to work tomorrow, so I got to get my butt to bed here pretty soon. I'll upload this video before I go to bed, and I will probably, like, it'll be done by the time I get up in the morning, so you probably won't see this. You probably won't see this until morning when I officially publish it. But it'll, you know, like I said, you've got plenty of other content to watch. I've been releasing videos for E3 like a madman, and then, like I said, if you haven't checked out my last couple of videos prior to E3, you know, there's this really, really unique and sweet puzzle game, Black Box. Check out that video and definitely check out that game because it's pretty awesome. And check out Perception, because Perception, I did a low vision spotlight for that, talked about it from a blindness and low vision perspective. And like I said, after E3 coming up here, probably within the next, I haven't decided my schedule exactly yet, but I'm thinking within the next, 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks for sure, I have a Let's Play already recorded and uploaded. I'm just going to unlock it. So I think it's going to be like an, what is it, like an 8 video series? So yeah, you're going to get to experience all of Cassie's misadventures, horror-esque things. Hey buddy, you need to perish. And so do you. There we go. So, like I said, I was going to wait for tomorrow for Nintendo, but there's so many games in these last 2 press conferences. I'm just like, yeah, I could do Nintendo, but then that would be like one, you know, I don't know. I haven't really heard feedback either way, whether you guys like the super long videos that are hour and a half. I know some people don't like them. I know some people do. So I'm trying to keep it at least semi-reasonable. I know I went off on a few tangents there, complaining about like free-to-play and mobile stuff, but you know, it's a valid thing to really talk about. You know, when things are relevant like that. Like that's kind of my extra like opinion stuff. You know, rather than just reciting press releases or listing off a bunch of games. Like, I'll tell you what I think of stuff. You know, and I'm gonna be honest about it. You know, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, this is just great. It's cool. Anyway, yeah, I gotta quit playing this damn game. I'm still super addicted to it. I will, again, since I covered this in E3 videos, I should probably release the actual low vision spotlight, so those who are curious, I mean, you know what the game is like. I mean, you run around, you shoot guys, but, you know, I do talk about, like, what's different from the original game, how does it play, you know, how do you set it up, just different things like that, so, yeah, that. But, since I'm already featuring it in some videos, I should probably do an official spotlight video for it. So I'll probably do that. I have another, and I think this weekend I will probably do another accessible game for you guys. And then, like I said, 1 or 2 other things I might want to do, but with, like I said, within the next couple of weeks, I think we're going to be looking at a Perception Let's Play, and then after that I really think that things are going to calm down on the channel. I mean, we're just going hardcore. I don't want to spam you guys, but at the same time I want it to be time relevant, time sensitive, you know. It's like, why report on something, or why give my thoughts on something, you know, ages later. You know, covering the games themselves is a little bit different, just because it's like, I can cover them whenever. You can still buy them, but, you know, it's like, why talk about E3 in August or something? Anyway, hope you guys enjoy this stuff so far. Again, might do one more short wrap-up thing for Nintendo and overall E3 thoughts tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. And until next time, I will talk to you guys again later.